back, everybody. So I've got the last 4 whiskeys from that batch of full-size mini barrels I did that I put in the barrel on, when was it? 10/19 of 24. So, and it was like the first of the year that I emptied them, so 10.5 weeks. So what we've got, this is Balcones True Blue Cask Strength. So it, I believe, is made from roasted blue corn. It's a blue corn whiskey. This thing was 115 proof. But what I did is I added some cream sherry to it when I barreled it, and this was not a full bottle. You know, it was almost full. But this thing, so I used a cherry lid, toasted or roasted at 400 degrees with this, but I did have pieces of a lid that had some of the heavily peated single malt that I aged down inside of the barrel as well. But this thing went up to 128 proof. Pretty crazy. Now, it was decent on its own, but it wasn't anything that like wowed Chanel and I, but I have a feeling it's going to be really, really good. Oh yeah, that is rich, syrupy, winey. Oh, sweet. Like, you can tell that's a corn whiskey, man. That's just super sweet, but man, that's good. Yeah. Oh, that's tasty. That is just like sugar-coated berries and cinnamon and charred, I don't know, leather. That's really tasty. It isn't extremely complex, but what it does have, it just hits hard. It's very sweet. You can definitely tell it's a Texas whiskey. I really feel like Texas whiskey is to like bourbon, or I'm just going to say like American whiskey, what heavily peated single malts from Islay are to Scotch whiskey. Like, they're just their own thing, and you either like them or you don't. I happen to like Texas whiskey. It's really good. Gosh. Okay. All right. Now that it's sat on my tongue a little bit, I am picking up more of like a pungent, earthy spice. It's got to be coming from those old oak lids that had some heavily peated single malt in them. Okay, that adds like very interesting, like umami type savory spice. It's different than anything. It's really good though. That's good. Yeah, if you want like sherry finished or port finished or rum finished stuff, just take a mix of 90% of the spirit, whether it's a bourbon or rye or whatever, and 10% of the rum or the sherry or whatever it is, and blend them. You're going to get a really good effect. You can cut it down to 5% if you want, but it works. All right, this is the one I've been waiting for. Benchmark Full Proof. Can you see how dark that is? That is because I had some old oak lids that I roasted at 400 degrees for 3 hours. I cut it in half and I put them down in, because this was not a full bottle, and I wanted it to take up some volume and try to impart some extra flavor, because I know these are fairly young, probably 4 years old the max, I'm guessing. But I did use an oak lid on this, not a cherry one. So Benchmark Full Proof is 125 proof. Now this was only aged for 10.5 weeks. All right. from October to the 1st of the year. This thing, 132 proof, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm really curious, because it's basically a young stag, really, is what it is. I know people say like, oh, it's baby stag, or I think that's better than stag. You weren't drinking stag, because there's no way Benchmark Full Proof beats stag or stag junior on its own. It's not going to happen. Unless you like garbage whiskey. Sweet. It's just sweet. Yeah, sweet charred oak. I do get some cherry and vanilla. Surprise, it's Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 1. Oh man, okay. It does still smell like maybe a little youthful. Oh, but that's good. Wow. Ooh, yeah. Whoa. Okay, so you know, in like a lot of stag juniors or stags, at least the ones that I've tried, there's like cinnamon red hot candy on them, like the end of the palate and the finish. That has it in spades, but they're toasted and charred. The palate is sweet and vanilla. This is good. This, right now, after only being in one of those full-size mini barrels for 10.5 weeks, this would go toe-to-toe with some of the less impressive stag juniors that I've tried. It really would. I mean, it's 132 proof. This, look at that. Do the full-size mini barrel. Go to the description of this video. There are links there to, I have some Google Docs, like what you can do to order lids, and the links to the Amazon items to make the full-size mini barrels. And there's also videos if you want to make them yourself. Do it. It's worth it. Oh man, that's so good. That is so good. That is a lesser stag junior, like some of the not as good bottlings I've had. Man, I'm gonna have, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna tell you right now. I've got some special stuff in the full-size mini barrels right now. I've got 20 of them going right now. I'm gonna do another video and tell you about it, but wow. That is an enjoyable, that's a stag alternative right there. So it is, I will say this, it is slightly more youthful tasting than a lesser stag junior that I've had, and it has more char, more barrel char, because no doubt, because I put an old lid that I cut in half, charred again, stuck it down in the barrel. That's where that's coming from. I said this on I think the video last week. If you're gonna put some pieces of oak or used barrels inside your first full-size mini barrel, just do like a quarter of that old lid if you want to impart some more flavor. Don't do the whole thing like I did, because it's intense, the effect it has. It's not bad, it's just intense. I think it would be better dialed back a little bit. Okay. Don't know what everybody's deal is with this Frey Ranch Farm Strength Uncut. It's just like, it's like a high proof, flat, cheap beer. That's what it tastes like to me. And Chanel. It's just not for us. So, okay. This thing, yeah, it had one of those lids that I had some peated whiskey in the full-size mini barrel. Cut it in half, stuck it down inside the barrel. I put a cherry lid on this, so what I'm noticing with these cherry lids, they make bourbons lean more to a rye, spice, vegetal note. But this Frey Ranch It was 124.3 proof. It was not a full bottle. You know, it sat for a while, probably down to here. 132 proof though, same proof as this guy went to, which kind of makes sense. They're about the same proof, both of, you know, I'm just going to say 125 proof. So, all right, let's see. Is this thing palatable or enjoyable now? Okay, I'm still getting that youthful grain flat beer note on the nose, but there's a lot more of like a good sweetness, almost like a fruit leather, man, like a cherry fruit leather, you know, those little roll-up things we used to eat as kids. Huh, that's pretty good on the nose, actually. All right, let's see what the palate's like. Okay, that's drinkable now. Ooh, that's good, man. Okay, something I'm noticing, I'm just going to share this with you. The whiskeys that I put the lids that had previously held like a peated, heavily peated single malt in, if you like heavily peated single malt, do it. But your old used lid, when you're done with it, cut it into 4 pieces. Put one chunk down in a new lid with the bourbon. It doesn't make it taste peated. It just gives it like a old leathery, spicy, earthy note that's really good on the finish. Like a whiskey that doesn't have a good finish, which this didn't, and this really didn't. It basically adds a really good finish to them. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Wow. Okay, this is like ripe. Now I'm getting ripe strawberries and like a cherry fruit leather. That's pretty dang good because those lids that had the peated whiskey, I soaked some sherry port and some Pinot Noir in them for a week to saturate those lids. So it's still coming through on this whiskey. That's incredible. Mm. That's good now. Ooh, man, it's got great old dusty cinnamon on the finish too. I actually really like that whiskey right now. Wow, I did not like it at all before, but now I would gladly sip on this. This is, man, that's tasty. Man, that's impressive. Okay, the last one, the highest proof of them all, which is crazy. These two are both 132 proof. This thing is higher. This Laphroaig 10-year cask strength. The only reason I think it got so high is because I did put it into a full-size mini barrel twice. So the first time, it went up in proof. Okay, I've got the old label here. What did I do? So this was one of the original lids that had Wild Turkey 101 with a lid toasted at 400 degrees in the oven, set to bake for 4 hours. Then I charred it. That Wild Turkey 101 sat in that mini barrel for 9 weeks, emptied it. Then I put the port, sherry, and Pinot Noir into that barrel, turned it upside down so it would saturate the lid for a week. I emptied it. I put this Laphroaig 10-year cask strength in there, which it was not a full bottle at that point. I don't know. I probably drank it down to here. So who knows what the proof was. Originally the proof was 117.2 proof. This is batch 14. Bottled June of 21. It hadn't been open that long. I bought a few bottles of this when I bought this one. So So that first bottling, it went up to 122 proof. Not bad. I rebarreled it. I had the old lid. I cut it up into pieces, charred the side that wasn't charred, put it down into the barrel. I had a new American oak lid that I roasted, I think roasted at 350 degrees. Then charred it. Then I put this in that. So it was like a brand new oak lid, basically, with some old oak lid pieces in there. That was the barrel that held this before. I know it's getting a little confusing, but this, and I believe it because quite a bit evaporated. This thing's 138 proof. 138 proof Laphroaig 10-year cask strength. That would never happen in Scotland. Now, Laphroaig, unfortunately, they do put caramel coloring in their whiskeys, but it ain't that dark. Look how dark that is. Isn't that insane? All right. Let's see, how did this thing turn out? That is special. That is, wow. Like old green, damp, moldy leather and caramel that's been like thrown, like a vat of caramel thrown onto a campfire to extinguish it. But you still get some of that medicinal note of a Laphroaig. People will sometimes call it like a Band-Aid note. I feel like it's more of like an iodine maybe, but man, that's really, I love Laphroaig. That was my first love of whiskey, was Laphroaig 10-year. I'm going to have to get another bottle of the regular bottling of 10-year, and I'll tell you the story of what got me into whiskey. It's a pretty cool story. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Whoa. Okay, so sometimes when people describe single malts, not heavily peated ones, like you'll hear them say heather. This is like very heathery tasting, and I would say lilac, and oh, what is it? I can't think of it. It's pretty like violet little flower. The bees like it. What is that thing called? Lavender. There you go. Lavender. This is very different from typical like Laphroaig. The effect. This is all the bottle, like the barrelings and stuff that I've done to this. It's very like herb garden forward, but also like tobacco-y, and like the rinds of stone fruits that are sweet somehow. Wow, that's very interesting. I've never had anything taste like that. Man, that's tasty. That's, if you like heavily peated single malts, man, you gotta put some of them into these full-size mini barrels. It really transforms them. The higher the proof is going to have, I think, more of an effect. But you know, knock yourself out with some like non-chill filtered, you know, 92 proof bottlings. My goodness. This is just like, okay, you've heard of like the Kentucky hug. This is the Scottish hug. This thing is warming me, man. This is crazy. 138 proof is no joke. But it doesn't, like, you can tell it's high proof, but it doesn't burn like high proof. Wow. It's like all kinds of herbal teas that have been like sweetened with like honey and demerara sugar, but then someone was like ashing their cigar into it. It's really good. Man, I'm gonna have to do something again with a Laphroaig. Okay, well, pretty soon here I am going to start telling you what I have bottled, or not bottled, but barreled into the 20 full-size mini barrels that I filled on January 1st of 2025. What they are, what my plan is with them, what my plan is for that full-size mini barrel after I empty them. I'm curious what you guys all think, but man, let me know what you thought. This is impressive in a full-size mini barrel after only 10.5 weeks. I'm telling you, these are all impressive. Yeah, you got to try it. Take a look in the description if you want to learn more, or if you want to just get some lids from us, or if you want to make them yourself. It's definitely worth it, I'm telling you. Okay, until next time.